Okay, we're back on the bus and it's a beautiful day, so the doors are open. We have most of our new floor installed. I just need this final little bit of wedge right here. And that raised the aisle to the same height. So we have plumbing and some electrical below. Today's first step is going to be putting this wall panel in on this side of the wood. I also need to build out this section of wall here. Like we discussed in the last video, we're going to come out and go down, which covers up that weird little shelf. It also creates a shelf for our shampoos and soaps and stuff. So I'm going to focus mainly on that right now. Once those are in, we can hang the hot water heater and start doing final plumbing on this end of the system. I do need to do a couple of electrical hookups here. We added 2 more circuits. The washing machine, I just figured, should have its own anyway. I'm going to put it on a 20. I think I have another 20. No, I'll have to buy another 20 because I think it takes almost a full 15 amps when it's running. So that wire and this wire are the ones that I added. I also added a 12 volt down low that runs in our same chase as the plumbing. And that's going to be for 12 volt pump for the supply water from the tank, as well as if I do put a 12 volt heater down there, it'll come off that same feed. This is, I think they call it low voltage landscape wire, but it's low voltage for 120 volt. So we're only running 12 volt through it. It should be more than enough to run our 12 volt heater if needed. And that might not be a diesel heater. I'm thinking about it some more. The bay is not hugely big, so probably a ceramic heater. Okay, so I'm going to move on to this. I already have that piece cut, so I'll throw you guys on the tripod so you can see me getting it stuck in there, and then we'll have an angle back here with just the hallway, so that'll be cool to see. On we go. All right, so that fit in pretty easy. A lot of these I've had to trim the foam. This one, there was just enough clearance that I didn't have to trim anything. Do see a big gap right there though that I gotta fill. Holy Toledo. I guess I wasn't looking when I did that. I knew about this one. Just some thin stuff. So there's still some issues, but we'll clean them up, make sure we get all the gaps before we finish. So before I screw that in, I do need to make sure, 100% sure, I should say, that this is going to be big enough for the washing machine to come through. Let's find our tape measure, and we'll go open the washing machine box. Cool. So we'll slide this plastic up just for a second. Okay, so we have our door here, and we do have an electrical panel on the back. So we need to overhang. The actual body is only 18.5 inches, but from the door, including all this drain piping in the back, we're at somewhere around 21.5. So let's call it 22 to be safe. I think that's a little less than I read, if I remember, because I was more nervous about it. So let's go make sure we have at least 22 inches in the bus. Moment of truth. With this panel in place, we have 22, we're going to call it 23 exactly. So we should be able to fit in here fine. And the plan is I'm going to come in through the, I'm not worried about this one either. This one's 23 as well. But I think it's going to be easier to come in through the door here in the shower. And we'll just bring that washing machine right on in there. right, so check it out. That's our look. You can see down our center aisle there. We have walls in place. So I don't know if I've made this abundantly clear, but there is going to be a mini closet here as well. So mini utility closet on both sides. That one will have the hot water heater. This one will have electrical batteries. Then there's a normal closet here. And then this is our washer and dryer. Now see, the bed comes out almost all the way to here. So there's going to be just enough room for the washer and dryer and our small mini closet. So this is going to be really shallow, but I just really didn't want the hot water heater in somewhere else. And the thing is, the hot water heater does have to be vented, probably out the window, so I don't have to cut the wall. But yeah, I think that's going to be our best bet. I have to have all my utilities up top, guys, because remember, my bay is really, really small. I can't stack stuff in it. None of it will fit. The only thing that's going in my bay is tanks. Whether there's a gray tank in there, I don't know. Water tank, fresh water tank, absolutely. And then storage. That's what's going in my bay because it's a small bay. I don't know if I've ever showed the bay, but it is small. So it looks fairly big in this shot, and I guess it's not that small. It's probably 5 feet wide by the full width of the bus, so 5 feet by 9 feet, something like that. Height is only about 18 or 20 inches, if I remember correctly, and it has this big center support rib in the middle, so that's kind of in the way. But we can definitely fit some tanks in here and some storage. I'm probably gonna just insulate it on the inside with purple foam. That'll be the easiest way. And then we'll have to do maybe a spray or something on this. Multiple layers of thin purple foam to get the curve. Not really sure. But there's the bay. So moving on, like I said, I'm going to engineer this little shelf right now. It should be pretty easy. If I'm standing in here, I want my soaps and stuff to be, right about there. So probably right about there will be my shelf height. That'll give me room above the shelf for the knobs. So I've got 3 2x cut and then 1 2x that I ripped down a little bit for the top. And basically that's how wide the shelf is going to be. Very small, enough to cover this lip, and it's going to give me just enough here to create a substantial bit of wall. So that looks a little nicer. It'll kind of match this side, about that same depth, so that'll be good. We're still going to sink the switch in here. I think the way I'm going to address that switch not being in this closet is I'm going to start the closet back a little bit. The closet will start kind of here and go back that way. So that way this switch is in the hallway. Same thing, I think we'll kind of follow this line of the wheel well for our front, because that's deep enough to fit the washing machine. So it'll just make this space feel a lot bigger, so you're not choked down by it. This wall, on the other hand, will come out to here. So, okay, so this shelf is in. Just a very simple shelf for our soap and some shampoo bottles. It's going to get bigger, both with, plywood and then tile. So it's actually going to be, quite a lot wider. The only thing we have to be cautious of is it can't be wider than this. So we'll bring our door in. Okay, so see, we already have a problem. And the problem is this latch is too big and is hitting the wood right there. So we're going to have to trim this latch back so it's exactly just barely catching that. That's okay, actually, because it also has these 2 secondary latches. So I might need to inset whatever I'm using here. It needs to be dead flush with these 2x. That way when the tile's on there, we're not interfering with that. We can't fit a 1/2-inch piece of plywood plus mortar plus tile right there. It just won't fit. So that's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's just a little bit more work. But regardless of that little hiccup, I'm pretty happy with this solution. So this piece of plywood needs to be cut. Those pieces need to be cut and set in there. Okay, well, filler panels are made. They're gonna sink in there nicely. I got a spacer at the bottom. At the top, I'm not gonna bother because I'm gonna do some really thin screws right down through the plywood. And also I'm gonna glue all along both edges. So that's my fillers. A little bit of a workaround, definitely not an efficient way of building, but it'll give me that nice flat surface. You know, really I could have just pulled these out of here, these 2x, and just did one piece of this thick plywood and that would have been fine. But this is stronger and I didn't have to waste wood that I'd already cut. So it's kind of an oops, but you can always find a way to make it work. And on that note, sometimes I feel like my brain just doesn't exist. I totally forgot that, you know, even when you still have 2 knobs, it's still a mixing valve. So they're connected. I can't change the placement. They are what they are. It's like, really? How did I not think of that? At like that height? Something like that? Or it could be centered. Yeah, maybe centered right there. And then we can put, you know, 1 bottle of shampoo in between it. The soap can go underneath it, and then other bottles of shampoo can go over here. All right, we're back on the bus today, and it's time to finally do the water heater. I think it's the next logical step. We finished up a little wall work in the shower last time, and I think it's time to put this together. So let me show you what we got. So it's an EcoTemp I-12. It's their slightly nicer unit. So it's an indoor unit. It does have to be vented. And you see the vent on top. Runs on liquid propane. It's pretty small. There's the measurements there. 27.5, 15.7, 10.9. Pretty small. So we're gonna get this mounted up on the wall right in there. That's where it goes. And start to kind of rough in the plumbing to it. You can see it's almost a straight shot, slightly curved to make sure we miss. I could space this out just a touch to make that better, but I have to remind myself that this is going to be a very, very shallow closet. And I want there to be enough space that I can come in here kind of sideways, scoot down and whatever, and reach around and, you know, work in here. It's going to be really, really small because we need enough room here for the washing machine, and then instantly goes right into the bed. But I think that's a good indicator that we're basically in the right spot. Okay, so back from our little escapade to the store, we actually needed a bunch of components. So this came in off of Amazon. This is a flow check. The reason I didn't buy it at the parts store like Home Depot or Lowe's is because it was $55, and on Amazon it was $12. So that goes on to my supply side, just like that. And then from our flow check, we have this male adapter, 3/4 to 1/2 inch PEX, and then we'll be able to insert water into the unit. Moving on to the outlet side, our hot water side, we needed a bunch of different components. So we needed to adapt from what they gave us to an outlet. So we have our outlet there in this brass T, and then we have another adapter, 3/4 down to 1/2 inch PEX. That's our hot water out. So I threaded that in already. This is actually multiple components here. So here we have just a long union. It's not that long, a couple inches. And then a big brass coupler. I wanted that style brass. They do make thinner ones, but I just like these. When you're dealing with pipe thread, you really have to tighten stuff down. I prefer the big brass versus the thin brass. So that goes on like that. Onto this component here. At the bottom, we need to have a pop-off valve, which is just pressure relief and temperature relief. So 150 psi or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. This will pop open and release any steam. That's federal code, and it's just a good idea to have one. Not technically necessary on one of these, but if you're installing correctly, you should do it. You can see, I mean, they don't even put one in the photo, but you should do it. It is in the manual, and it is code if you've ever done a hot water heater before. So that's going to go in as well. And that will finish the water for the system. For the gas, I needed to get a valve. So this valve threads on, and then it has a union. So it's pipe thread on this side, and then there's a union to our gas line, which is just a household appliance gas line. I did a 48-inch one, so I have plenty of room to go down and out under the bus. There'll be another union under the bus, tying that into our gas supply, which lives in our bay. So clarification on the bay. On the left side of the bay, here's my plan. There will be a series of gas tanks or one RV-style gas tank, hopefully that, but I have to find one. I can't afford one new, so I have to find one used. There will also be a fresh water tank down there. And on the other side will be mainly just storage. So we have some large heavy-duty slides, so we can slide out the whole bay, but we're going to do that in two sections. So on one side, we'll be sliding out our water and gas. On the other side, we'll be sliding out storage like dog food and winter clothes, etc. And just like that, we've done it. So starting at the supply in, 1/2 inch water supply in from our freshwater tank, going to an adapter to a 3/4 inch check valve, which threads on to the supplied componentry they gave us. I know you see a lot of exposed threads there, but that's just because these two different pipe threads were clearly made in a different way, so it's tight. If I need to tighten it more, I can, but it feels really tight. And then that adapts onto the unit. They used an O-ring is how they did it. So that's water in. Gas in. Teflon tape instead of pipe dope. I believe that's correct. And this is your manual shutoff valve. which is required. And then this line will go on to that using flared connections, so no sealants. Hot water out of the unit. We have the supplied componentry. We have a 3/4 inch brass T. Coming out of our T, we have our hot water supply going from a 3/4 inch to 1/2 inch PEX 90-degree adapter. So that allows me to bring my hot water down and out. Then we have a 3/4 inch piece of pipe going to another union just to give us enough length here for the temperature sensor on our pop-off valve, which is probably about right there if I was going to guess. And that pop-off valve is 150 psi or 212 degrees, and you can manually release it by pulling that right there. So now we can put it back in the bus and see if we did it right. Not bad. We have hot water out, so pop-off valve, water supply out, gas in, and water in with the check valve. And those line up pretty much perfectly. This right here is going to change for a couple of reasons. And that is also going to change for a couple of reasons. And I'll tell you why. And those reasons are simple. I forgot about the washing machine. Good news, we're in a position where it's really easy to fix our mistake right now. But right now, I have no hot supply planned for the washing machine or cold supply planned for the washing machine. So it's a pretty easy solution. Let me show you what we messed up. So if our washing machine is going right here, we obviously need to have both a hot water and a cold water supply to the back of that machine. And I completely forgot to add that. So all we need to do is remove this and turn it into a T, and remove this and turn it into a T. And then we're all set. Pretty easy, but a mistake nonetheless. All right, and there we have it. So what we're looking at is supply side of the hot water heater. Water supply comes in from the shower, and it goes up this T to a shutoff valve, up there to a flow check, which keeps any drain back from occurring, and into the hot water heater. At the bottom of the T, which is currently open, will be our supply to our clothes washer. And on the red side, what we're looking at is hot water out of the unit, and we're teeing off into the supply for the whole house, as well as teeing back into the shower for that supply. And again, hot supply right here at the bottom over to our washing machine. Now you may have noticed that this is the cold water supply from the shower and it doesn't tee back in. That's because the cold water supply for the shower has a T right here, and that's where that's gonna go. So hot water supply for the shower, cold water supply for the shower. Over here is our cold water supply for the hot water heater. So I was just moving on to another project. I think it's time to wrap this video up, but a little bit of a whine that I have to do. These pop-outs in this unit, which I think is a Siemens, are absolutely ridiculous. They are way, way too strong. I'm bending this unit all to crap, and it's really bothering me. I've tried peeling them with this pair of pliers. I can't get the welds to break with this unit installed on the wall. It's just bouncing all to heck. Everything's bending, and I'm really not psyched about it. So you can see my bends there. This is stupid. This is bad manufacturing, and I'm sick of it. But that's enough of that for today. We'll get these two out. The reason I'm over here is the new circuit for the washer and the hot water heater need to be put up into the box. But like always, guys, there's going to be struggles in any sort of construction project. That's one that I'm dealing with right now. And it is what it is. You wish these things could be a little easier. It's just frustrating when you run into something that you have no control over, like that pop-off just being badly made. It doesn't have anywhere near as much as a relief. And I'm sure the electricians out there know exactly what I'm talking about. It's out of control how badly stuff is made nowadays. But anyway, ending the video on a positive note. We made massive progress over there. I'm super happy with that. And before we know it, the washing machine will be sitting back in here and we'll be building more pieces of closet and furniture around that unit. We also got news that our kitchen cabinets are coming in very soon. So what that means is the ceiling needs to go up and these windows need to go back in before I install those cabinets. So after I wrap up this little electrical, my focus is going to shift to finding a seal for these windows. We're not going to buy the custom ones. It's just out of the budget. It's out of the question. So we're going to find a semi sort of solution of just a square piece of foam that should fit in the back, in the channel under the bottom of the window, and then we'll be caulking the outside of the windows. This is actually how windows are installed in most schoolie conversions from the factory. They use caulking on the outside, so that's fine. It's totally acceptable. Is it what I wanted? No, but I'm not going to spend. It's going to be somewhere around $2,600 to have the custom rubbers made. Not worth it. So when those go back in, and I want to put the ceiling up just so we're not getting dust and nonsense all over our new cabinets. The cabinets will go in shortly after that, and that's going to make a massive visual change to the front of this bus. So stay tuned for that. It should be really exciting, and it's coming soon. Thanks for watching Highlandshire. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'd love to grow the channel. Share with your friends. And, oh, don't forget, #FindJimandKaren. That needs to happen. Thanks, everybody.